Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of How Did They Build That? This is the Glide edition. In these videos, what we're going to do is look at an existing template from the Glide template store, and we'll copy that template into our account and then look at how that app was built. And along the way, we'll have a look at and we'll discuss about the various Glide features that particular app has used. So let's get to it right away. I have with me on my screen this template called the attendance tracker. So this is built by Glide. So let's copy this template and see how it was built. I'm going to click on the copy app for free button. This will in the background copy the spreadsheet and also copy the template into my Glide account, and then it will open up that particular template, which is the attendance tracker, for me to go ahead and edit. There you go. So it seems like it has copied all of the required elements. And before we see how it was built, let's take a look at how it actually works. So what we have here is two tabs, attendance and students. And so in the attendance tab, I have to be recorded. So this is the list of students. And if I click on any one of these students, and then I can mark them as present, and then that gets marked as present. And then I can go ahead and click on any other student and mark that student as absent. And then that gets marked as absent. So you have three lists now. You have the to be recorded students, the absent students, and present students. And of course, I can click on any one of these students and go back to the details page and then change the status from present to absent. I can always do that, and that should get reflected back here. And then what I have here is my second tab where I have the list of students, and then I can go into each one of these students and change their just edit the mark the student as either present or absent. Now this has already been marked as absent, so let's see if it has actually doubled it up. Oh, this has actually doubled it up. Interesting. So anyway, so what you can do is you can go ahead and mark these as present or absent, and that would change the state. Now I can also go ahead and click on the pencil button and change the name of the student. So pretty simple. Now let's take a look at how it was built. So here on the first screen, I have a list of students. If I drag myself here to the right, so I have a list of students, and I have separated them with a separator, but essentially they are inline. Each component is an inline list, and then if I look at each and every item in this list, so the source for this list or the configuration for this list, it's here on the right. So you have tiles. To be recorded is the section title. The source for this is students, and the title is name. There's no details, so that's fine. But if I can always click on any one of these, and then that name should appear. So if I just click on name, so that appears as the subtitle, but in this case it's not required. And of course the image is the actual resolved image. The shape of the image is a circle, so that's something that has been set over here. I can always go ahead and change this to a square, but that's completely as an app developer, it's completely your choice. The text size is small, all good. So that's pretty much standard out of the box component. So it's just mainly it's just the source, right? So where is this information coming from? Now if I look at the options, I can see that the options you have, so you have a search option here, so that's why this is checked. in the filters, you have has record from today is false. So this looks like a condition from that matches the column. So if I click on this, I can see has record from today is a column and is false. Um, and then that's pretty much what it is. So that's why if you see these two students don't appear in this first list because they have a record for today. So that is said to true. But in this case, these three students do not have a record from today, which is set to false, and hence they appear in this list. And of course, the other one was just sorting. Now, the second inline list here is for the absent students, and this is actually looking at a different source. So you have a different sheet in the spreadsheet. So it's looking at the records sheet. From the records sheet, you're getting this name of the student, getting the status, and getting the student photo to fill up this each and every single tile. Now if I click on options, I can see that you have again a search bar, which should not make a difference anymore because that's the second component on the screen. So that's fine. We'll just leave it checked however it was. Under filter, now I have two filters here. Date is within today and status is absent. So date is within today because this is, so basically every day when I open this app, it will actually show me a different value, right? Because every day, the idea is every day you open up the app and mark the attendance of the students as absent or present. So tomorrow if I open this app, it will, this everything will clear out. So that's why date is within today and status is absent. So because this is the status, the absent block. So that's why status is absent. And similarly for this, which is the present block, you're looking at the same spreadsheet sheet, which is records, getting the same values, but the only difference is the filter status is present. So we're only looking at the present values. Now if I look at the students list here, this is a simple inline list, and what we're doing is we're just looking at the list of students, and the value should be coming in from the students sheet. So really what the logic here, this is an interesting logic that is going on behind. But before we see how the absent and present things are being marked for each and every day, let's take a look at the spreadsheet itself. So the spreadsheet here, if I click on the first option, this hosts some data. So the first one is just options. This has just present and absent, and so it's just a text, just plain text that we are hosting over here. Two different statuses, which we will be using it at another, probably in another two sheets. So if you look at the students sheet, I have quite a few columns here. So you have name, photograph. This seems pretty standard out of the box. Text fields, text columns. Then I have two columns here, which is called present and absent. And what do we have here? So you have a template. So this is using a template. So it's a template column type, and the template just has present. So essentially this is like a single value item that they've just repeated it. So let's see how this is used. But apparently these two are just constructed like this. Let's see how this is used. It's probably used in another column somewhere. What do we have here? So we have this column called records, which is a list, some sort of a list. There you go. So records column type is relation. So relation is to be able to match items from one sheet to another. So what we have here is the column type is relation, and what it's saying is that match the values from the name column in this sheet. So this we are in the currently we are in the students sheet. Match the values of the name column in this sheet with the values in the student column in the record sheet. So it's matching them, and since this match multiple checkbox is clicked, we are actually getting multiple values from here. So it's going in and matching David, for example, and in this sheet we have David. So it's pulling that up, but obviously for Allison and in Courtney, we have multiple records in the record sheet, and hence multiple values have been pulled up here. Then over here we have latest record, which is a single value. And so what we are doing here is we're looking at the last row from this value. So we're using the records relation column that we just created, and from that column we're getting the whole row, and because we are matching multiple, that means in Allison's and Courtney's case we are actually getting multiple rows, and so in this configuration we're just getting the last row. And then this column is last recorded date lookup. So this is the lookup column type. We're getting the last record. So if you notice there's a pattern being followed here. So we created this column first, then we created the latest record column which uses the values from this one, then the latest record column which uses the values from this one. So we are sort of constructing or building up these columns here. And let's see, I mean, I'm having a look at it right now while this is being recorded. So let's see, even I'm curious to see how this has been put together. So what do we have here? You have your latest record. What it does is now that we've got that latest record, so from here, from the list of records, we got the last column, which is the latest record, and then that is just that one row, and from that row we are pulling up the date. And so let's say if today is 6th of June, for example, you would get that value as the last. So this is the last time an attendance has been tracked for this particular student. Now here you have this column called has record from today. Now what this says is it's an if then else column type. It says look at this column, latest record date. So that is this one here. If the latest record date is within today, if it is within today, then mark it as true, else mark it as false. So clearly we have these two values that have been recorded for today, so we have marked it. And then we have another column called latest record status, and what it says is it's a lookup column type. And so what this says is look at the latest record that we collected earlier and then look at the status. And so based on that, we are pulling it as either absent or present. And then obviously because that might pull up older values as well. So now we want today's status specific for today. And so that is another if then else. As record from today is true, then use this value from here, else just don't use any value. So that's here. And then you have some placeholder photographs and some placeholder photographs. So just some logic for that. But essentially what they're doing is, so these are the few columns that gives us the ability to calculate if the student was present or absent today. So essentially what we do is you have a bunch of records that has been created, and you see some students have been marked as absent and present on November 30th, and then you have well, we have marked a few students absent and present today, and therefore, so this will just keep on going. So if we do it tomorrow, more records will be added, and therefore what we do is, so now in the students sheet, what we're doing is we're just making sure that we have today's status selected. So you have, so all these columns are basically just looking up this record sheet, getting the latest record, right? So the most recent one, and that's pretty much how it is ordered. So once you get the last record date for some students it is 30th, that's obvious. But the students that we marked today were basically today's date. And then we have all these calculated columns. So we are just wanting to have sort of get a Boolean value. So is the record for today, yes, true or false? And obviously when you look at it tomorrow, this will become false, right? Now based on that, you can, yeah, you can get today's status to either be present or you can have absent. So there's a few conditions here, and therefore you have the correct value, because so you have the last, so so the reason for these two columns is just because of the today's filter. So you have absent here, but because this is November 30th, it's technically not today's absent record. So that's why this goes as unrecorded for the student. Now this template uses one very new thing, a new glide feature called custom action. So let's take a look at that. So if I click on one of these, and this screen, we have two buttons here, mark present and mark absent. Now if I click on this button here, mark present, obviously if you create a new glide app, there is no action called mark present, right? It's a very custom action created for this template. So the actions that would come default out of the box are in, are listed over here. But to create a custom action, you would create a new action over here. Now this is already created. So to edit this action, we just click on this edit action link, and this will open this particular canvas, which is a more workflow type of um, thing going on here. And what it says is when a person clicks the button, so action start, there's a few things that happen. The first thing, so essentially this is just multiple actions linked together, right? Just multiple actions linked together. So the first one is add rows to record. So now if you remember, we have that sheet called row records, and that just basically has all the values, right? So either a student is marked as present or absent, or well, basically just present today. And so that's all we need to record. So this action uses the add row system action, and what it says is in the sheet called records, add the following values. So the date is today's date, name is the name of the student, so that we have got from the previous screen, from where the button was. So we have the name, and the status is present, right? And so this is essentially the duplicate presence and absence that we had a look at before. So we are entering this value in the records sheet, and then we have this action to go back, because once you click that button, you want to go back to the previous screen, and then you want to show the user a notification as present and the icon has success. So you can always change this. There you go. So yeah, press the cancel button to go back to your screen, and there you go. So you have this particular user or this particular student, you have all these records. So this is just an inline list, and what we have is just pulling values from the records table. Now, similar to the mark present button, you have mark absent button as well. And if I look at the action, everything else is the same, except for when you're adding a row, you're marking the student as absent, and then you're showing a notification called absent with a failure icon. And that's pretty much it, really. So I think if I click on the options, there's nothing here, so that's all good. If I click on the edit form, so let's say if we didn't want users to really edit this particular student, so you just uncheck this box, so the pencil icon disappears. Now the reason when we originally tested this app, we created two records for Courtney is because there was no sort of validation there going on. So as long as I can click on this, so from the to be recorded, I could pretty much click on go from the students record, click on Courtney again, and then again mark this one has present or absent. And so if I do that, it will, if I mark it as absent again, and if I go back to students or the attendance, you can see there's three records. But let's try and mark it as present, marker as present. So now you have multiple multiple values be shown up here. So this is a slight glitch, obviously, in the template itself, and this should be we should be able to fix it, but of course that's out of the scope for this video itself. So this video is really just how did they build that, and essentially this is how did they build it. What we can do is, you can always remove these mark present and mark absent buttons from here, so the double records are not created. And then all that we would have is just these tabs, there. um, but I'm pretty sure we can do something about this to be able to sort of not display duplicate records. So there you go. This was the attendance tracker template, and I think we've covered these two screens and how it was. And we also found a bug. In the template that requires a fix, but of course that's out of the scope for this video. So that was a pretty interesting find. But yeah, I think the main focus for this attendance tracker, in terms of the features, something was new, should be the custom action feature. So that's a new feature from Glide. It allows you to not just configure one action, but have a workflow of different actions to be fired up once you create the button. So you click a button and different actions can fire one after the other and then stop at the very end. So there might be a case where you actually require a custom action, and this is a good example to look at if you want to dive deep into custom actions. So I hope you like this video on how did they build that using Glide. We looked at the attendance tracker template today, and if you did like it, give it a like, give it a thumbs up. Let me know in the comments your thoughts, and also stay tuned for the next video. More videos to come on this channel, so hit the subscribe button as well, and so you will get a notification whenever a new video pops up on this channel. So stay tuned and thanks for watching. See ya.